Do you find it difficult to differentiate your salon in today's competitive environment? It's so crucial to understand how consumer trends, how consumer beliefs, how consumer values are changing and evolving, and you have to evolve your business to be aligned with that. If you haven't heard the words diversity and inclusion over the past 4 years, you've probably been very isolated. And this is more than just a short term trend. This is actually how our society is evolving. And in today's episode, we're going to delve into how you can better understand and appreciate some of your services from a diversity and inclusive standpoint that allows you to be way more open to attracting more staff to work for you and attracting more clients to come in to your salon companies to have your services. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Salon Scoop. Today, we are going to get the scoop on an industry. I don't know if we want to call this a movement or a cause, but something really, really important that everybody in our industry should really be aware of. And to kind of guide us through some of this, I have the pleasure of having a Redken artist, salon owner from Logan Parlor in Chicago, Illinois, Jamie DiGrazia, the one and only, but she's also the founder of the Hair Has No Gender movement. And that's really what we're going to get into today to discuss it. Jamie, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great. And again, such an important topic for our industry to be discussing. We want to raise discussions, raise awareness around some of these important topics in our industry, and really happy to have you on board to share this. I've bumped into you a few times over the last several months at different industry events and whatnot, and have seen more of what you're doing, and loved it so much. So I'm happy that you joined us. So maybe you can start just by giving our listeners a bit of a background about you, when you started in the industry, what roles you've had, kind of what you currently do, because you do many different things, so that we can just have a quick understanding of that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, high level overview. Yeah, I've been licensed cosmetologist for 20 years. I've salon owner for 11 now. A Redken artist for 10. And day to day, I see guests behind the chair about right now 1 day a week, but I've been 5 days, I've been 4 days, 3 days. Now it's 1 day because I'm working on running the salon company and growing, the next gen of artists. So education planning, things of that nature, being more involved in the business side of the business, and working with great artists that can handle the hair.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that's pretty
You
cool.
get to
And then
work on the business instead of working in the business all the
yes,
time.
exactly, which is new, and I love it. It's pretty cool. When I do the payroll for our team, I'm just very proud.
How big is your team?
There's about 10 of us.
Nice.
Yeah. So besides that, I saw the need through my work with education, like on the things that would come up for people, like I don't do men's cuts, or I'm afraid of the clippers, or you know, um, just not, I guess, really embracing all that like short hair cutting can be. from people who were hairdressers, kind of like how some folks might feel about all hair types, right? Like I might not be truly understanding the technical skill and the business behind it, you know?
Yep.
Um, and that turned into kind of a education around it, and then also noticing and seeing the inequity and the exclusion that happens around short hair cutting, like barbershops and salons and men's cuts, women's cuts, and some of these like practices that no longer serve. Um, and creating a space in our salon that was like safe from all of that. And I just want to bring that awareness to the industry so people can, kind of level up and make a more, yeah, unified industry.
Yeah. And so you started this nonprofit organization called Hair Has No Gender. When did you actually get that kicked off and started?
Yeah, so it's been like an ongoing process, right? Like it started, the Hair Is No Gender kind of like ideal started in Logan Parlor, like in 2013 when we opened, when we were like, oh, we can't have gendered pricing, and we're like, hair has no gender. So that's kind of like as we developed the way that we kind of behave in the salon, right? And then we started teaching the classes about the ideals about it. But um I started an LLC, I think in like 2021 maybe, and then got it transferred to the nonprofit this year. So it's been just like this ongoing, so I always feel like it's been a part of me for so long, right? But the nonprofit, we just got our status this year, so
Okay.
learning
And
all about that now.
to explain to my kindergarten nephew, if you had
Hmm.
to say like what is this organization, this movement, Hair Has No Gender, what is it all about?
Yeah, I would say it's about community and best business practices for inclusion,
Nice.
like throughout the salon industry, really.
That's a good high level. So let's dig in a little
Yeah.
bit behind that. And I'm curious, what's your you said that this sort of like started naturally, when you opened up your salon. What's your personal mission behind Hair Has No Gender? Your vision for it. What do you want to achieve with it?
Yeah, great question. Well, I'd like to see, gendered pricing be a thing of the past for our industry, like industry wide for hair, nails, salon, makeup. It's so antiquated and inequitable and problematic, you know? So I think that would be like the dream, the high idea. But yeah, just making people aware about how some of these practices don't serve everybody who walks through their door. Um, so more spreading awareness, sparking change, and really empowering the small business owner too. You're leaving like so much missed opportunity on the table by accidentally maybe being exclusionary, whether
Yeah.
it's through gender or hair type or, you know?
Yeah, and often it's through just without even realizing it, right? But
Yeah.
as you say, you're like leaving opportunities, sort of on the table. And when you really break it down, the whole a woman's haircut versus a men's haircut, and it really doesn't make any sense to
Oh.
anybody, even the consumer. It doesn't even make
I
sense to the
know.
consumer because someone might say, well, wait a second, a woman might come in with short hair versus a woman who
Hmm.
comes in with long hair, and one of them, it might take 30 minutes to have her hair done and someone else takes an hour, but they're paying the same price, and it's like, wait a second, that's not fair. um, so
Yeah, and it doesn't maximize our schedule or our day. And
yeah.
it's illegal in 3 states. So I hope that with the work of Hair is No Gender too, to be a resource for other states to, what to do, like call your state rep, talk to them about their gendered pricing bills, or can you get one to go through. Um,
Interesting. What are the three states where it's already there's a discriminatory
yeah,
law against it?
California, New York, and Massachusetts. And
I knew California was gonna be on the list.
yeah, number one.
Yeah.
Awesome. They're so great with their board.
Yeah.
They've had it since the 90s. Like it's like 30 years ago. Yeah, it's not
Wow.
like something we should even be doing, like
Wow.
yeah.
Well, for any salon owner out there, or even if you're like an independent, independent stylist,
Hmm.
managing your own pricing and kind of like you've been thinking about this because gender neutral pricing as a concept has been more and more adopted in our industry over the last I don't know the very first time, obviously, but definitely it's become more adopted in the last 10 years, bit by
Hmm.
bit. We've done a couple of podcast episodes recently with salon owners who shared kind of how they transitioned, how it was impacted with their team, their pricing, how it was communicated to clients. So if it's something you're curious about, you can go and check out, one of our episodes about that. You can look at came out earlier this fall. We're in 2024 right now, so if you're curious, you can check that out to sort of understand the process and maybe how to go about making that change and implementation in your salon company. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about I guess what's actually involved for a salon who wants to believes in the concept, what you're talking about, like what do I actually do to get in, not how do I get involved, but kind of like what's the process for me? I'm saying, yeah, I believe in this, Jamie. Like
Yeah,
I love hair as no gender as a concept. Like I've already had, gender neutral pricing in my salon. Like what else should I be doing? And what kind of like services, let's say, does hair has no gender provide for
yeah,
the
sure.
industry?
So thanks for asking that. And I love that you did that training on the process of it because there is a little bit of a process for it. And I would love to be there to if someone needs support in that, right? Like how do you do it? How do you train your team? We have some education. We partnered with L'Oreal to make like a 30-minute, 6 module, 5 minute each, like access. Um, so you can kind of train the new people on your team, right? So if you need like onboarding tools or D&I trainings of that nature. But really we just want to like showcase and celebrate the salons that have the same like shared vision and mission with the service finder. Um and build community and come together, and I would want everyone to subscribe to the email list so when we start working towards gender-free pricing, maybe bills, like if we do anything with legislation, which I've been trying to do in Illinois, that's my home state. um we'll be able to connect and have a community of people to network and sign petitions and make calls and contribute to some of that change on a governmental level, right? But really also just being in community like hair shows and education, and this is just getting started, really. So I see a lot more short hair cutting, I was gonna say convention, but like that sounds really big. But like
Gatherings.
yes, the high idea would be like to have camaraderie and community in the industry and celebrate queerness and uh yeah, that's
in-
it.
Inclusion and
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I would definitely say that community is a big word in our industry and something that most people enjoy connecting with. And it gives us the opportunity to learn from each other, to have important conversations and
Hmm.
discussions around topics that are, fairly unique to our industry. We are a different industry, and it's really important to connect. So I commend you for kind of creating the space for this conversation to happen and for some of the training tools and guides. You mentioned a service binder. What's that all about?
Yeah, so there's a map, and that's the coolest thing. But thank you. You are doing similar work, bringing everyone together and talking about these important topics. It's up to us to advocate and talk about it and be the change. I mean, really. Um, so thank you. But the Service Finder is a free mapping tool, so anyone in the world can put in their zip code and find a salon that would be considered, a hair is no gender affirming service finder salon. So we call it an allied space. So instead of safe space, because we can't guarantee anybody's safety really. We're going to do our best for physical and everything, but an allied space is just someone to stand with you and for you, and understanding, I think, the difference between ally and advocate, like that people are actually doing stuff. It's one thing to be an ally, but it's another one to be like an active ally, right? Like what can you actually be doing?
Yeah.
And there's little things like supporting our organization through funding or putting yourself on the map, right? Like making donations or just being a part of it. So once we build this map up, we really want to regionally do like days of service where we're focused on LGBTQ youth and care. So we do that here in Chicago. So ideally, we would have regions, if where do you live?
I personally live in Montreal.
Yeah, oh, you do? Okay, so I would love to yeah, so we get a bunch of salon owners together in Montreal and maybe, you know, find a queer youth center that has youth and care and then go have a day of care. Like let these young people feel good and look good and then know that there's this awesome industry that they can be a part of, and we just spread so much joy, and we just have the ability to, I think, help or hinder, and this would just be such a good thing to do together as a collective, like change some of the ways that we do things and then do some of these things together that actually like are good.
Yeah, I love that. So what if you mentioned that you do some training programs, sometimes affiliated through as a Redken artist that you are,
hmm
maybe sometimes independent of that. I'm not even sure, but what can someone expect if they come to one of these training programs?
Yeah, great. So I could be booked on like through L'Oreal through Level with points if anyone is a PPD user through Salon Centric, and um the we do like a monthly topic, like for once a month we have kind of like this, just a conversation, and it changes monthly, and it's usually all about equity and inclusion. But if we were to come into your salon, we've been doing full day programs where the first half of the day is all about hair is no gender, the why, the business practice, how to implement it, what does it mean, helping people understand little things that they can do inside their company to, even visually, like having the pride flag up year round, like little things that you can do to show, your support and that you're an ally. But then also learn how to come from a place of like creative freedom, right? From not only your guest, but from you as an artist, like how to kind of unsee men's haircutting, right? Like, what does that even mean, right? Like, do we need to learn taper and fading and bald fading? Do we need to learn connection and disconnection? Do we need to learn scissor over comb, clipper over comb? Like all these things that make up a short haircut are just technique, right? Like hair literally has no gender. I could taper your sides, I could taper their sides, I could taper her sides. Like we're just doing technique, and to be able to um think about that in session, like with the whole salon, to have that conversation about honoring people's pronouns or how to give a gender free consultation. Like how do you unsee gender, right? And just do what the person is wanting or asking, and putting your best like artist foot forward in a way.
Yeah.
And working on your short hair technical skills all in like one full day of great fun. So that's what I've been doing for the last year, going to different salons all over the country, and having these team trainings, and they've been great, because I love the art of it, and I also love the business behind it. So it's really easy for me to like want to talk about and share about and be about. and open up some different perspective, you know, and get our stylists too, like really comfortable in in the whole movement, but in their technical skill and the way they approach it from a business standpoint too.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good combination of,
Mhm.
like you said, the community aspect, like understanding that all the involvement, the technical aspect of focusing on, techniques, and then the business aspect as well. I want to
Mhm.
ask you a little bit more about that. How number one, do you recommend that salons who are adopting these principles, let's say inside of their business, use that as a communications and almost like marketing tool in their communities to position themselves as
Yes.
a unique place that's actually going to help them to attract more maybe staff and clients
Yes.
to their salon? Is that
Yes.
something that you
Yes.
encourage?
Yes. 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 Yeah, I've had people write me, you know, at Hair is No Gender through our email and be like, you know, I'm from here. Is there anyone on your list that you would recommend? Knowing that like I'm part of the queer community, you know. So we are using it for that. I want stylists to find salons that have their shared values, you know. And I want this to be like a signal to the trans community, the gender nonconforming community, anyone in the queer community, intersex people, like, and parents of and family members of. Maybe this is a young person and they're in care and their family has to find a salon that is they're gonna feel like great at, right? Like we want all of our salons that can provide that to be able to kind of signal that that's possibility, right? And that's the whole point of the map is to be able to yeah, bring people together, the people who are in need of great services and the people who can give them, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you encourage salons to use this as a kind of a communications tool because it
Mhm.
can actually help them grow in their community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to showcase that they're an allied space and that, you know, these values are important to them and they're trained and they care and they're going above and beyond to let the queer community know that they're loved and respected and at, you know, the front of the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look at it, way, way broader that it really touches everyone
Mhm.
from all communities because just just the one notion of changing your pricing strategy and going to like gender neutral pricing is something that can it'll be
Oh,
comprehended by everybody.
everybody. Yeah, like
Exactly.
women paying the same
And
amount for short hair.
you shouldn't be
Yeah.
shy about promoting that because it can actually in today's day and age really help you again differentiate yourself from the salons down the street that maybe aren't doing it yet and attract people to come to your salon because it makes sense and people feel like, oh, you know what, this is nice, there is like there's nothing being discriminated against, and I now feel like it's
Mhm.
fair, based on the, and that's just on the pricing model. And we talk to salons, if you're doing things in your salon that are related to the environment, you're doing
Yeah.
sustainable efforts, uh, promote that.
Yeah,
You
loud and proud. Like people want to know that.
exactly. I understand the concept. People say, well, you know what, like some people they make a big deal out of it, but they're not really doing the real dirty work is behind the
Real
scenes, and
work.
they're just using it as like greenwashing, and
Oh,
and it's not true. But at the end of the day, I agree. Obviously, if you're saying one thing and
doing another.
your
Yeah.
actions are different, that's a whole other story. But if
No,
your
but
actions,
celebrating your goodness is,
yeah, if
yeah.
your actions are pure, you might as well share that. Don't be shy. Like,
Yeah, please greenwash. The more people who know about this kind of stuff, the better, you know? Like if it wasn't for everybody talking about it, people wouldn't know what to do, you
yeah,
know? Like I love what you've done with the Green Circle. We're actually signing up. I just was talking to them in Toronto. I've had my LGBTQ inclusion blinders on and didn't realize what more else I could do. And I'm like, I should be doing this. Like, how am I not contribute this? I care about this. Um, so I'm really stoked to get involved with that too. It's like I want to do business with the organizations that are also doing great things for everyone, right?
Yeah,
And I want to be, yeah, proud about that and and spend my money in those places and frequent those companies and
absolutely. And that's a common mentality for a growing number of consumers in the world today is they want to do business with companies that share the same values as them. It's not just about, oh, who has the best price or whatever. It's like, I want to do
Mhm.
business and I want to support companies that I believe are doing good things for the community, good things in the world. And again, that you believe in some of the same things. So be
Yeah.
strong, in your beliefs and be proud to share them. Now, Jamie, I'm going to hit you up with a couple of hard hitting questions here. So think of the listener right now who's maybe in a little older generation salon owner who is maybe a little bit uncomfortable with the movement that has been hitting our world over the last 20 years and queer and transgender, and they're like, I feel uncomfortable with this, and so I don't know if this is for me. What's the case to that particular salon owner of why hair has no gender is still very relevant and important for their salon?
Oh boy, yeah. So, I mean, men, thank you. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. But this affects everyone, like even cis straight men, right? Like if hair didn't have a gender, maybe we'd be like offering men hair pieces, or talking to them more about their um the hair thinning and offering them, if you colored your hair darker, it would look fuller. Like we're afraid to have these kinds of like conversations, but like everyone has hair, and if you just see it as hair and not as tied to like the social norms of like men are strong and have to, or I'm afraid to offer him this. Like what there's all these like stereotypical things that they're just barriers, right? Like if things weren't positioned, if all the marketing to get a manicure wasn't about women, maybe some men would be interested in getting some manicures, or if we offered them, or we're too afraid as service providers to even offer the guy the add-on manicure service, right? So we started like taking and not, the more we normalize these things, the easier they'll be. But women too, women don't deserve to go into a salon and pay double just because it's a women's haircut when they have short hair, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all about time. And the service provider, it's like unfair for the service provider to just have 30 minutes men's cut on their books, and then it's a guy that walks in with hair to work down to wherever, and it takes me an hour and I have to charge him for a men's cut still, like, or say, can I charge you for a ladies cut? Like how do you even, what do you even do there, right? Or
Yeah.
I book a women's haircut and it's 45 minutes and it's you know someone has the same thing, super short hair, it's a buzz cut, it took me 10 minutes, and now I like, it just doesn't make much sense for the schedule and for the money, of the business.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, it's a huge, like, insensitivity maybe to the queer community for, like, so what if a trans person or a gender nonconforming or non-binary person comes in? Like, men's and women's might not be their gender, so how do they pay? I have to conform to,
Must be free.
yeah, yeah. Um, and kids cuts too, like we could start looking at it like that. Like hair has no age. Your kid has more hair than you and he's moving around. Like, so we don't really like if we
Yeah.
just charge by the time,
Yeah.
or by length or how much someone moves. I don't know. Like,
How obnoxious they are.
yeah.
uh,
So I would say, yeah, it doesn't have to be about the gay agenda and queer rights, but I think it should be. Like if that's not enough reason, there's so many more. But I lead with that because that's where it hits home for me. Like I walked up my first salon, all my queer friends at the time, and had to be like, charge. I didn't know how to charge people, and it was just insensitive, and it caused a lot of dysphoria, and it's just an unnecessary thing we do, and we can not do it and it could benefit everyone, right? What's good for one is typically good for all. So
Nice.
yeah.
Great, great answer. All right, next hard-hitting question for you is, what is your opinion about the place for barbershops in our industry?
What do you mean?
Like, should it still be a thing? Do you feel like there shouldn't be the barbershop kind of concept because that's too
Oh
gender
no, I
focused
think
on men, or sort of where do you is there
no.
still a place for it, or how do you see
Oh
that?
yeah. Yeah, it's like yes and, because there's those guys that want a straight razor shave and they want to hang out with other guys that want a straight razor shave, like a woman can possibly go to the barber, but if she'd be more comfortable in an environment where it's not super male heavy and she wants a different experience, it's like yes and the guys still need that. They've had it forever. It's probably their safe space. Not that women shouldn't be able to go in there, but it's like unless I want a straight razor shave and I have super short hair, you know, so if I'm a person that has super short hair and wants a straight razor shave, then yes, I'm gonna go to the barber shop. But like barbers aren't known for long hair cutting, right? And they're not exactly known for some of these salon services. So yeah, I think the guys that would go to the barber shop need their spot, and I think trans and non-binary people that want to go to either place should be welcomed, and just like a woman should be able to go get a nice sick fade from the barber. Maybe, she wants a hot towel head shave. Like, give it to her. Like,
Yeah.
since
Yeah,
we're like, what do I want? The service, less about the person showing up. But that's the thing, we have to train the service providers to be like, is this weird that this woman wants her head faded right now? Like, can I do it still? Like, of course you can do it. And you're not going to charge her a woman's price. You're going to charge her, I guess, the men's price if there's only one price in there.
it would just
But
be the price
yeah,
of a
a
low trim
fade.
fade.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because barbershops need to know that there's also, it's not just the gender binary of men who want to come into the barbershop and get a hot towel head shave, or a
Yeah,
fade or a beard groom, even, trans men need their beard groomed. Um,
totally.
Yeah, or non-binary people might need a beard groom, and then how do they pay? You know?
So
So there's room for it everywhere. Yeah, it just makes, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of questions like that. Like,
yeah, and the goal is just to, I think, simplify everything. I mean,
mm-hmm.
it's just so simple
Like
when you just
haircut.
when you just look at it. Exactly. You just look at it as haircut and how much time it's going to take, or whatever the service is and how much time it's going to take, and that works for the service provider and it works for the actual client who just wants the service, regardless
Yeah.
of what they look like or anything of that nature. So how they feel. So love that. You mentioned that there's like an online sort of directory, that salons can be part of, listed, so that either a stylist or a service provider, cosmetologist, esthetician, who is maybe looking to work in an environment like this,
Yeah.
or a consumer who's looking to find a salon, that's adopting these principles. You have sort of an online directory. What do I need to do as a salon in order to become part of that?
Yeah. Question. So just visit our website, harrisnogender.org, and you can list yourself. There's a free version and then there's an upgraded version. The upgraded version has your Instagram and direct links to your website. But all you have to do is share the values, right? So there is a pledge to inclusivity that we ask you to take, that as pledging that you are implementing gender-free pricing, you understand in the concept and know how to deliver a gender affirming haircut, and that you have a gender free bathroom in your space or an all gender bathroom. So, people don't have to experience that kind of, it actually is discrimination, right?
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
so, um, and then once you've taken the pledge and you agree to these practices in the business, then you can just list your company on the site, and we proudly showcase it, and we give you some badges like the Allied Space badge that you can put on your Instagram and your website that will kind of be the signal to people that you believe in Hair Has No Gender and its movement and the principles. Just a little barber pole there with the inclusive flag. I love it.
It's on your background for anyone who's watching this on YouTube right now. What are the ways? So if I am a salon and I want to get involved in this movement, what are the different ways that I can get involved? Where do I go? What do I do?
Subscribe to.
How do I contact you, or who do I contact?
Yeah. Well, if you go to our website, you could list yourself on the service finder. I would subscribe to the newsletter and then participate. We send out newsletters every month with the education, whether it's like at the shows, in person or virtual. And just be in community, reach out. We're always sharing the work of our Allied Space salons to inspire each other. Whether it's with visuals like, oh my God, sick haircut, or oh my goodness, check out this cool promotion that they're doing, or look at these silly folks doing this funny stuff for Halloween, and we're just trying to like tie our communities of Allied Space salons together, right? So we're trying to have fun, be in community, but also support each other during, some of these important things like legislation and things that affect our industry and our community.
Love it.
So
and
yeah, reach out, donate if you can.
If someone wants to book you for the training that you talked about, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, online too. You can book online. There's a link to our Calendly where you can book a consult so we can answer any questions, make sure we're booking the right content in class, and that's all available on our website too. And you can also book through Level Loyalty if you're a PPD salon. You can pay with points there as well, which is cool. But I would check out that access to the safe space education that we did in partnership with Redken. I would start there for anyone who's new to the ideals of Hair Has No Gender, to get a nice recording of a breakdown of what it really means.
Love it. All right. So sounds like hairhasnogender.org, O-R-G, is the central place where you can go and see a lot of the information, learn a lot, get connected, sign up for the newsletter. I know there's some great merchandise that you have for sale there, because it is a nonprofit organization. So there's, obviously you're trying to create connections and partnerships to have grants or funding to kind of make some of these things that much more affordable for everybody to participate in, right?
Exactly.
Jamie, I want to acknowledge you for just the amazing work that you're doing. You're, bit of a trailblazer, to kind of really bring this to the forefront. And I know it's not easy when you're starting a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
And you have an amazing vision, for it, and you kind of, it's one by one sometimes, right? Getting connected. So thank you for coming on and sharing your message with us today, sharing all the insights. And I encourage everybody to find out more, learn more, just
be a part of it,
Yeah, exactly. Like,
do it together.
Educate, learn more. It's pretty straightforward concept. And then, the community, sounds like an amazing community to be part of, and it's going to help your business at the end of the day. It's going to make your staff happier. If you have a team, there's really like a win-win-win all around here. So I highly encourage everybody to go and check that out. Jamie, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you too.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Share it with anyone that you feel is going to connect with this and can get involved.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional and rate the show on Spotify or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salonus.s.o.s or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you on our next episode.